Do something super casual. Let me see something. Let's see. I guess I'll stick with that. What's up, Rick? Hopefully, you should be able to hear me just fine. Just want to make sure. I'm using my phone, so I want to do something relatively simple, but I'm gonna wait until I guess a few more people jump in before I decide to go on my little rant. Well, not even really a rant, but just do some talking about WandaVision and all that stuff. So I give people a few minutes to see what's going on. Let me get my glasses. What's up, Hassan? There we go. Then your boy got a C out here. I'm looking a little crazy too. Like, I gotta get a haircut. Gotta get a haircut for sure. But while we wait for people to jump in, let me know how's your new year been so far? How's everything been going? How's the family? How's everybody? I hope everyone's been healthy. Just let me know. And yes, those two episodes were fire. And but I also wanted to talk about something too that a couple people were just like they didn't get it, but I'm just like I guess I get into details and my theories and all that stuff. So, like I said, just in the meantime, I would try and wait for a few more people to kind of jump in. Just let me know how's the family, how's your New Year's, how's everything been, and all that good stuff. Let me see. Yeah, this is actually brand new for me, using this phone as like the to do a live stream. I don't do this very often. Usually always using the computer, so let me see. New Year's has been, I mean, I wouldn't say nothing's changed, but nothing's been, too different. We're still living in a pandemic, the height of a pandemic. So, we already know everything's still closed. So, same old, same old. Uh, unfortunately. And I'm very sad to hear that your life has been difficult. But also means that life has been tough but good. So hopefully that means even though it hasn't been easy, you've been getting some results out of that. So I'm glad to at least hear the good part. But it's been about like 4 minutes. Let me see. Let me also post it on YouTube. Let me see here. Let me see, son. Okay. Let me post it. Because I know some people don't realize that I'm online. Because I know YouTube is not that great at notifying people. Perfume regret. don't judge me, but I did not finish The Mandalorian. I only saw the first season. Because during the time that it came out, a lot of stuff had popped up. So I had to like definitely meet deadlines for sure. But I actually am catching up with The Mandalorian. I know it's not that long in terms of the season itself, so I'm going to actually finish season 2, and then what I'll do is I'll probably do it in Discord, make a channel just for that, and then I'll talk about it. Um, yeah, I'm Stu Jersey. You gotta watch that WandaVision, man. Um, then y'all gonna have to watch that WandaVision. It's not super long. The episodes are only about like 30 something minutes per episode, so yeah, it's not that long, to be honest. Like, you probably could watch both of them and still come back, and I still might be live streaming. But yeah, they're not that long. It doesn't take up that much time. I think obviously the whole purpose of the series in general is obviously it feeds into the MCU, but also is giving us a little bit of a segue, little tidbits to kind of feed into larger stories that the movies are going to cover. So that way you don't end up with situations that's kind of like, you get to another movie, then you're wondering how the heck did they get there in the next movie, when in reality, the series, even Falcon and Winter Soldier, they serve to kind of answer smaller questions to kind of transition you to the next movie. So, let me see. Yeah, the first one, yeah, I think it's about like 26 minutes, and then the second one was like about 33. But I think they might even get up to 40 minutes depending on the actual episode. At least I heard a rumor, so let's see how that goes. But I don't think they're going to be running too long for the most part in terms of overall runtime for the show. Well, what I do know about what in terms of WandaVision, since wondering what movie is going to lead into, besides the obvious multiverse of madness, since it involves Wanda, ultimately, I do think this is going to run into some Captain Marvel situations as well. One, because as you know, the black woman in the show, I feel like I'm about to spoil it, but this is also very public information though. Doctor Strange, obviously, but I feel like 2 is going to lead a little bit into, the whole Captain Marvel 2, because the cast that we know that's public information has Monica Rambeau in it. So, at this point, we already know Monica, at least the woman who plays her, is 33, so she's relatively young, and I feel like there's a lot of things I want to talk about, so, I mean, I'm trying my best not to spoil it too hard, but they definitely have a lot of small details that some people believe she's manipulating this reality. Like I said, I'm not getting into details, so I'm not spoiling much. Some people believe that she herself is manipulating this world that they're in, and I believe that to a certain extent. I believe that she is manipulating this world, but not in the way that we think she is. Like, not in the sense where she's like warping reality, because then if we see her power just like jump from where we saw it in like Endgame, when she was like washing Thanos, and then all of a sudden she can warp reality, I'm pretty sure her powers did not just exponentially grow already. At least we haven't gotten to that point yet. I think this is more or less just like, this is definitely something involving her mind, and it's not the totality of her power. She's being manipulated by some sort of outside force. That's what it seems like. It could also explain the reason why, like you said, the mutants, J.D. Garner, basically why the mutants could be involved, and at least later on down the line, because there are a lot of people who are tied into this. If you see the show, I'm not going to give you names or any details, but if you see the show, there's a lot of people who are tied into this reality who actually seem to have a real world tie, because in the show, at least we know we have the cast, like besides the main 2, we have Darcy, who we know from the Thor movies. So in some way, shape, or form, she's playing some sort of involvement in this, as well as a nosy neighbor, Monica Rambeau. They're all playing smaller parts that I feel like, there's no way she could have roped in people we don't know, unless, this is somehow being manipulated by some sort of outside source. So I do believe this is her mind, but I'm not entirely sure if it's what I think it is. And I forgot who just posted that question. I do not think Mephisto is really going to be involved in at least not yet. Mephisto is someone who I feel like definitely would interact more with Doctor Strange than Wanda, but I do feel like this could be a situation where I know some people said it could be AIM. I do believe that it could possibly be AIM. They would definitely want to track down Wanda because of how powerful she is. Um, and I do think this could be one of those opportunities where it's like they're trying to monitor people with powers and a certain level of, I guess, IQ. Possibly, this is just me making a theory. So, because we don't know really what happened after Endgame with a lot of these people. That's the whole point of the series. Between this show and the other shows that are going to be coming out, we don't know how we get from Endgame to these next movies because Endgame took place about like 5 years into the future. And yes, I did notice the sword symbol, but then this is something that I noticed too is that Sword ultimately is a part of Shield in some way, shape, or form. Sentient world observation. That whole division. But ultimately, I think too, what's gonna happen is that if AIM is involved, it could be a possibility that AIM is not completely nefarious as we know them in comics, but they could be contracted out, meaning someone could have potentially maybe hired AIM specifically. But like I said, it's really tough to see what's gonna happen, or the version of this where this is just gonna be like I actually lost my train of thought actually. But I do like the approach that they're taking. It's like it seems like a very black and white, old school kind of show. And then literally like at very interesting points, like you gotta pay attention to the points in which those moments happen. I'm trying not to spoil it. It's very hard to talk around moments without spoiling things, but the moments where it's like, you the show intentionally directs your attention to something specific, for a fact that they're important for a reason. And those little Easter eggs I think are important because they represent certain points in time in Wanda's life as well. But also too, I think there's someone trying to break in to like what's going on. So you usually see things in like patterns of two or three. When she recognizes one thing, it leads into something else, which ultimately leads into like one of those moments where like something is off about the reality itself. So, like I said, I'm trying not to spoil it because I think there's like two or three people in there who haven't seen it yet. And I'm trying to be considerate because I know spoilers can suck, even though technically it is a part of being a YouTuber to know as much as you can about a particular given subject matter like this, especially when it's involving comics. So I'm trying to be considerate. So, there we go. Posting. I gotta get some need too. But so far, I like the show because it's definitely not like a typical show where it's like off the rip. There's gonna be a ton of action, ton of powers, things flying over the place. But you know that every episode is building up to something bigger, which will eventually get there. So far, there hasn't been any hints of any Celestials, minus what we already know about Peter Quill. But in terms of the show itself, no, there hasn't been any hints so far within the first two episodes whether or not there are Celestials in the TV show. But I hope so too. To answer Dark Wolf 4K9RB, the show is different. And I'm pretty sure they're going to keep the same momentum when it comes to the Falcon and Winter Soldier, simply because, one, everyone loves Anthony Mackie. I just finished watching that other movie, Outside the Wire. I think people sleep on Anthony Mackie in terms of his skills and capabilities and what he's able to do as an actor. So I always support him. And then, Sebastian Stan is pretty cool as well. So A lot of people are rooting for that show to work, and then also I think they're favorite characters, their favorite supporting characters. But I think they're gonna do well. Disney has not been very they haven't been, like, kind of out of the box when it comes to ruining things. So for the most part, it's relatively consistent, and I feel like I said something really dumb just a second ago. But they've been very consistent for the most part with their movies. So I'm expecting good things out of the Falcon and Winter Soldier. But I am I'm hoping that, the next episode we get a little bit more details about, the shifting in her reality in terms of what's going on, what I believe is her mind. So I don't know. But I'm not sure if Agatha Harkness is gonna really be the main villain. To me personally, I haven't seen anything indicative of such in, the MCU. At least not even in the show either. So I'm not entirely sure. But I definitely cannot wipe that off the table either. So honestly, we will have to see, and then once I compile some research, that I can definitely, validate or, debunk that theory, I guess. So, but I do agree though. Hassan said it best. Disney has literally mastered the ability to, like, the art of building, and obviously they've shown us with the movies, because first starting technically, even though the Incredible Hulk was a part of the MCU, but, I'll say officially starting with Iron Man, they've been building not only with Iron Man. They first every character had its own like little movie. They built up. They gave little bits of details, and then they only got better as they did it. So they definitely got the formula, and they're really good at it. So they're sticking to it. So Agents of Shield, I loved Agents of Shield so hard. But I don't know. I can't say it's better yet because it's only been 3 episodes. Agents of Shield definitely has like about 7 to 8 seasons, so it's hard to say what's better. What I do hope is they bring those characters from the show to like these smaller shows in on Disney Plus, because I feel like they can be intertwined and connected because the Agents of Shield have dealt with so much. So they've dealt with aliens, magic. They've did a little bit of everything in humans. So I actually want that to kind of happen. Let me see some more comments here. Yeah, no, Wanda is scary powerful. Like, in her most powerful form, I'm pretty sure a lot of you already know, she was able to cause the whole House of M event, which pretty much wiped, like, literally, what, 90% of the mutants off, like, the face of the earth. And then it affected the multiverse, meaning mutants disappeared across several Earths in her most powerful form. But even in her weaker state, she literally is still a reality warper. She can manipulate matter. So she still is no joke. Um, but one thing I think, Wanda is definitely the most powerful Avenger we have so far. So hands down, no, it's not Captain Marvel. Wanda is literally like a ticking time bomb in terms of her power. But honestly, what I think they're going to do for the show is I think they're going to tie her abilities to her mental state, in a sense where it's like, not necessarily it's like she's crazy, but I think they're going to do it in a sense, the more emotions that she feels, the more power she's tapping into. And obviously in the Multiverse of Madness, I think Doctor Strange will probably explain why. So I'm looking forward to seeing their approach to this whole situation. Let me see. Mia Mephisto gives Wanda kids in the comics. Yeah, that's true. It would be nice if they adapted Marvel Knights and bring it to the big screen. I would like to see that. I don't think that's completely off the table either. But like I said, let's see what Marvel decides to do. If they decide to change anything or adapt anything, let's see what they do with the Marvel Knights. Because she sold her soul, that would be interesting too. But because I think she did have an issue like that in comics, if I remember correctly. She definitely made some deals, I think twice. Um, but I can't remember completely off the top of my head. So I'm definitely gonna hold that thought. But I'm pretty sure there was at least 2 instances where she kind of did something similar to that. Um, could Wanda take on the Phoenix? See, that's very difficult to answer, but I would say no. Mostly because, as powerful as Wanda is, she can affect the multiverse. The Phoenix is literally the embodiment of life in all of the multiverse. Like, basically, it represents life. As long as there is a single person breathing, and not just humans, but aliens, gods, whatever you want to classify as like aliens and gods in Marvel Comics, as long as there's a single bit of life in the Marvel Universe, The phoenix will exist because it represents all life that was, is, and ever will be. So, the phoenix is extremely powerful. The phoenix in its full totality, I think, definitely it could smoke the Scarlet Witch, but that doesn't mean the Scarlet Witch is not powerful in her own right. But like I said, that'll be dope. Do you think Blade could be introduced through Doctor Strange? I do. Um, I did a video on it a while back. It did pretty good, but basically, vampires are beings of magic. I'm pretty sure you've seen hundreds of shows where they're talking about where they talk about vampires, werewolves, mystical creatures. A lot of them are born from magic directly. Magical creatures are literally, I guess, a physical form of magic. So, definitely, I do feel like Blade and Doctor Strange would have a nice little interaction. Blade being a dick, and then of course Doctor Strange being himself. So, who's to say? Mm, yeah, they're trying to manifest her powers in the MCU now. Glad to see this finally. Yeah, they're doing a slow build on her powers, and I think that's a smart way to do it. You don't want her to just be like this character who can barely manipulate people's minds, and the next thing you know, she's like, "I'm going to destroy the planet because I want to." I think a slow build on her powers are pretty is a pretty good choice writing wise. Wonder if Chthon is involved or if he ever will appear. I think there's going to be more involved with like Doctor Strange, Chthon, because he's going to explore more of those interdimensional monsters and beasts and these interdimensional gods who are just overwhelmingly powerful, much like, Sidorak, stuff like that. So I do feel like that's a possibility, but we're probably not going to get him as a main villain for, if ever, for a long time. So, mm, yeah, let me see. Phoenix is like cosmic being, Wanda ain't on that level, that's a fact. But he's going to be introduced in Morbius. Is he really? Morbius is a vampire, but he's not like the mystical vampire. He's a vampire made by science. So he does the traditional thing of, I think he does fly, he has enhanced strength, he does drink blood, it needed to survive, or plasma in the Spider-Man animated series from back in the day, but he's not the magical vampire like Dracula. And I think the magical vampires are stronger. So it's definitely it's interesting. I like that take. I want to see how that stacks up and how magic can kind of intertwine with the scientific vampire. Like, what if Morbius got bit by Dracula? Would that enhance his physical traits of the scientific vampire, or would that be like one of those situations where it's like it doesn't really matter? I guess, but I don't know. I want to see how that works out too. Have you seen any talks of new Omega 11 mutants being created or introduced to the comics? Not that I know of. Not that I've heard of. If they was introducing a new Omega 11 mutant, trust me, we would all, we would all definitely hear about it. Let me see. There's a rumor that an actor on Falcon and Winter Soldier is supposed to play the first Black Captain America from the 30s or Blue Marvel. It's not Blue Marvel, but yes, it's going to be playing. I forgot the name of the actor. Let me pull that up as well. I know who you're talking about. The same dude who's playing that actor is basically the dude who played Martian Manhunter in the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited animated series. So, and also he was in Supergirl, obviously, as Martian Manhunter's father. And that's Carl Lumbly. That's his name, Carl Lumbly. He's going to be playing Isaiah Bradley. He's going to be playing Isaiah Bradley. Isaiah Bradley is the first black Captain America, basically. I did a video about it too. That did pretty well as well. But ultimately, he's one of the people who, in the real world, there was that whole Tuskegee experiment. The government were experimenting on black people to try and find the cure for syphilis, supposedly, but we already know that really wasn't the case. But in the comic books, that was a cover-up for the Weapons Plus program, which ultimately were trying to recreate the super soldier serum. And Isaiah Bradley was one of the people who ultimately did receive a version of the serum that was relatively stable. Now, it wasn't perfect because it did take a toll on his body way, way, way later, like way later down the line. But it was relatively stable. And that kind of led into his grandson being, I think, Elijah Bradley, who had some powers. due to, I forget what the exact reasoning was, but then ultimately he got a blood transfusion from his grandfather, and then it fully stabilized in his grandson, which ultimately made his grandson the second black, or I think at the time the third black Captain America. It might have been the second black actually, because I think this is before Falcon even got the shield. But but yeah, he was another black Captain America, his son, his grandson. But Carl Lumbly is going to be playing Isaiah Bradley, the original, black Captain America, who received one of the variants of the Super Soldier Serum of the Weapons Plus program. Do you think Blade can make an appearance in Morbius? I do. They had a the animated series, I know they definitely did. But I think right now they're working on the same team. I forget, because I think I stopped reading that comic, I think like a couple months ago. But I think they're on the same team right now. For one of the limited runs. I gotta get back to you, but I feel like they definitely will have interactions because Blade would think that Morbius is like a traditional vampire, much like himself, but he's gonna find out he's a vampire by science and not by magic. So basically, Morbius is a self-made vampire. He didn't need anybody else. He kind of did it himself in a sense. They better bring Black Panther. That's all I know. I know Chadwick is gone, but they can bring in T'Challa from a different universe. They could. They definitely could do something like that. And maybe instead of recasting him, maybe their Earths or this main MCU version of Black Panther is dead. And then they could bring in another version of him from like another Earth, an alternate reality. So it's entirely possible. Definitely entirely possible. Scott Adkins. That name sounds familiar. Who can play? Let's see. Me personally, the sound I just made. Me personally, I don't know. Honestly, I think I'm tired of seeing Scott Adkins, but that's mostly because he does a lot of action flicks. But I can kind of see it though. If he grew out his beard, did the goatee thing, I could see it. I could definitely see it. Now, are you saying it's official, or like is it actually official? Like official, I said official, but official. That's a fact. I've seen him on so many projects, so people recommend him simply because he can fight in real life, much like how people want Michael J. White to play everything. So it's just like, I get it. He's a martial artist, and obviously those stunts and those roles that he'll be able to, play, he can kind of perform himself. But, I don't know. I just okay. So that is true. So it says Jimmy Kimmel confirms Like he's playing Kraven in Marvel Spider-Man 3. Okay, that's interesting. Let's see how this turns out. I'm not gonna completely knock it because I don't think I've really seen him anything personally, but yeah, let's see how this goes. I'm not gonna say anything about it because, fortunately, typically Disney knows what they're doing. So let's see how this works out, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Let me see. Dottie is Mephisto. It's hard to say, honestly. Like I said, I don't think Mephisto's gonna be involved too heavily. Like I said, it's really hard to say. The commercial salesman is Mephisto or Chthon. He's already Doctor Strange. He was already in Doctor Strange, Jimmy Kimmel. So that Jimmy boy. Let me see. Did I miss it or something? I don't remember. Let's see. He said he was already in Doctor Strange. I don't remember seeing him. That's still not Doctor. Let's see. Oh, Scott Adkins. Oh, yeah. I thought, for some reason, I thought we were still talking about Jimmy Kimmel. You're right. Scott Adkins was definitely already in Doctor Strange, so it would be strange. I get, strange. To bring him in to the MCU. But also, he was playing a supporting role as I think one of the people who were fighting. And he was like an actor slash stunt double kind of role, so, I guess, But yeah, he's already in Doctor Strange. That I do remember. Um, What is the going to get in a new Johnny Blaze? I actually do want to see Ghost Rider, so I think that should definitely be involved in a Doctor Strange movie. Don't know when, then, you know, I definitely would like to see Johnny Blaze. Mm, let's see. Seam Wang didn't hold my attention for 15 minutes. That's Elliot Duger. See, the thing is, the WandaVision show is not going to be like one of those traditional shows where it's like everything is going to be, super, upbeat in terms of, the action. Everything is a build up. And the first two episodes, you see like already something's off. And that Wanda is starting to kind of put two and two together. She's starting to, but she hasn't quite gotten there yet. So I think we're going to probably spend the next, maybe 2, 3 episodes where things are going to transpire, and then eventually her mind or whatever is going on, I do believe she's in her own head, is going to break free of whoever's manipulating her, and then they're using her to kind of, I guess, power this reality she made in her head, where she's not completely reality warping, but they're using her to kind of power this whatever scenario that they got going on, because like I said, this does involve Monica Rambeau, who we've only seen once when she was younger, and that was in Captain Marvel. So what are the chances that we're going to see her when she was younger? The next thing you know, we jump to 20 plus years later, and then she's like 30 something, and we see her. And then at that point, the next time we see her, she's in Wanda's mind. You can tell like there's a build up, and they're kind of keeping track of powerful people in a sense, because we already know Monica Rambeau is going to be a powerhouse. She's going to be one of the most powerful women in all of MCU, and black women on top of that. So, no joke, we already know like there's something going on here, and I know it's not going to be the most entertaining, but pay attention to a lot of the small details, those moments where she kind of like just zones in and out. It's going somewhere. I know it's not the most thrilling. I know she's not using her powers, throwing everything all over the place all the time, but there is a purpose for it. And which is why I'm like, I could be patient. I don't need it to be this big thing all the time, but just be patient. I promise it's gonna evolve into something way more fire than you could probably think that it was gonna turn into. And my fault to kind of keep this going, but like I said, it's for Elliot Duger. The reason I think they did the I Love Lucy thing was, if you've seen the show, the whole point was it was a comedy show. It was about a married couple. Ultimately that was, I guess, Wanda's mind, what she wanted for Vision, kind of over glorified, where it's like she wanted to be with Vision. She loved Vision. But, in the perfect world, people usually compare, I wish my marriage was like I Love Lucy, because they feel like everything was so great all the time. They had nosy neighbors, but life was wonderful. And, it's just, that's what people use to idolize, marriage and relationships. So they use that to kind of signify what she wanted with Vision, what her life, what she wanted it to be, this white picket fence and great family, all that stuff. But then she's going to realize the real world does not function like that. And eventually things are going to come crashing down for her quickly once she, finally takes that pill and realizes, oh, nah, I'm in a matrix. So it's a build up. You have to have a patience for it. It's a storyline that's supposed to build up. And I get it, you want to see the action, but it's going to build up. I promise it's going to build up. But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I'm enjoying it because I know what it's going to become, and I know the details are important. Okay, no problem. So yeah, so it's not just about the action, but yeah, the plot is definitely something that's gonna build up for you. So I'll leave you with that. Just keep watching. It's going somewhere. It's definitely going somewhere. Let me see. Close this out. Let me see. Let me see. Who else is cast in here? The voice of Ultron is in here. Okay. Asif Ali, we already know who that is. A dude who gave Vision that piece of gum. Nosy neighbor. Honestly, I want to know what's going on with the nosy neighbor that's being played by Catherine Hahn. She definitely. I feel like there's a reason why she's always around. So nosy, always at Wanda's call. Her, you definitely got to keep an eye on. She's one of those characters. You have to keep an eye on her. Um, Let me see. I think this is what one of you was talking about. The Catherine Agnes. Suspected secret identity of Catherine Haynes Agnes. Okay, so this is okay. So now I'm starting to understand why. Okay. But it's a nosy neighbor, Agnes, Catherine Hahn, who appears to know more than she's letting on, which I agree with. You can tell off the rip she's off. She's like, eh. Because the one thing I don't want to, invest and be like, yeah, it's definitely this person. Because Marvel is notorious for putting false sense of hopes in some scenes just so they can be like, I'm going to hit you with this. So it's just like, Let's see. Let me see. But besides that, it's just a theory. So no one is completely sure about it, but I think it's a valid one. I'm going to keep that in the books in terms of like, okay, let's pay attention to that, cuz the neighbor is definitely important. And also something that we can expect from the show is that we know like it's going to start off with them with that whole I Love Lucy, Dick Van Dyke kind of vibe to the show. Then they progress all the way to like the 50s and 60s in terms of sitcoms, and then 70s and 80s, and then eventually we're going to get to the present day. So, like I said, we got to keep an eye on her, because I'm looking at looking at the trailer again, and it's definitely going to be interesting. So she's kind of, I don't know. Dang, it's really hard to say. I know definitely for a fact what's going to happen, at least going forward, the whole multiverse of madness thing, is that I believe when they have kids, basically they had kids during this whole series, and then once she snaps out of the reality she's in, she's gonna realize, like, that those kids that they had never existed, and that's what's gonna send her over. That I can see happening, and that is probably the direction they're going. But I still, dang, I don't know. That's making me. There's a lot that can happen here in this show, and I'm just watching the trailer again. There's a lot that can happen again. There's a lot of, like, a small details I feel like I had to dissect, like, really go through the trailer again. There's a lot that can happen. Dang. A century-old witch who mentored the chaos magic wielding. Dang, it really could be, though. Because so far we have not. Oh, I'm about to spoil it. Dumb hard. I caught myself slipping. Look, I can't help it anymore. I'm gonna give you one detail. So far we have not seen, the nosy neighbor Agnes. We have not seen her husband. She says she's married. She said they have an anniversary date. She has a ring on, but we haven't seen him yet. And if this is supposed to be like one of those sitcom shows where, like, you know, your nosy neighbor has a husband, wife, because that was a very common thing in those times. Why aren't we get a chance to see her husband? And it seems like, you know, we're not going to see her husband ever, because I don't think there's anyone casted to be her husband. So, this is going to be interesting. But I don't think Vision is there in a traditional sense. The thing that I never understood about the whole Vision is dead is that even though he was attached to the Mind Stone, and some of his personality did come attached to the stone itself, I think they could have definitely rebuilt him, and Vision could have definitely had like a backup memory of himself or something like that, because that's definitely been done before. But I think Vision is kind of there, and she was able to kind of, like, you know, that last moment in Infinity War when he was just saying like, all I feel is you. I think somehow she might have unintentionally like duplicated his mind, his personality, everything about him, and she put it onto herself, and then like it's in her head somewhere, and that this show is exploring that maybe she kind of, you know, so to speak, lack of a better term, downloaded, you know, his mind, but then he really does exist in her head in his full totality, but you know, his physical form doesn't exist. So I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot that can happen because there's just so many directions this can go, and we're only 2 episodes in. So I definitely think that's what happened. She kind of absorbed him, but more or less downloaded, because she didn't absorb him in a sense where like they're one consciousness. There's two consciousness living in her head, and he does exist in his full totality, because there's moments not even just in a trailer, but also in the 2 episodes where Vision is just as aware as Wanda. So it seems like he does exist in himself, just not maybe physically yet. So I think that's going to be the route that they're taking, at least for that part. At least I hope it is. I think that's like the best way to bring him back, is the fact that his mind was always within Wanda after his death, and then ultimately she can get him another physical form that can suit his mind and his emotions and how he feels. And then, you know, we can get that however long they decide to do that. But, you know, it's definitely, I think that's entirely possible. And I think that's the route they're going to take. And I think that's kind of why Vision is very much aware, like Wanda. So, I don't know. But we've been on here for, it's already been like 42, 43 minutes. I didn't want to keep y'all in here for super long. Just wanted to kind of give y'all a live stream, talk about it a little bit without spoiling it too heavy. But please, I'm going to do this for this video. I think I'm gonna keep it up, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a link for the Discord, and I'm gonna try my absolute best to make sure I keep up with it. I'm gonna make a room for WandaVision, right? And then every week when there's an episode, or whenever they decide to drop an episode, you know, because I forget the schedule, but I'm pretty sure it's every week. When they decide to drop an episode, I'm gonna jump onto Discord, and then I'm gonna be like, all right, let's just talk about it. Let's see what theories we have. Obviously, if you haven't caught up on the episodes, not just now, but in the future, if you don't watch it the day of, or maybe the day that, you know, we decide to talk about it, I'll make sure to let you know there's going to be spoilers in that chat. And so that way we can all chat about it. Everyone can have a conversation. Also, if you check the links to the other videos, if you're watching anything else, if you want to like join the Discord right now, you can definitely click the link so that we can come in. But I definitely want to talk more about this, because these are one of these shows where it's like, it's simple. The first few episodes, it's simple, but you know it's about to get way more complicated to, you know, way more complicated down the line during, like, you know, the rest of the season. So this is going to be dope. But do you think there's a possibility Disney could retrieve Thanos, since we still have more stories to tell with Gamora? I'm pretty sure, like, in terms of actually bringing his character back physically, it's possible for flashbacks, but story-wise, we know Disney is notorious for killing off villains, and they usually don't make a return. So, and I think it would definitely be too soon. If we see Thanos, it would have to be like 5-6 years from now. So, That's at least my personal opinion. But I'm gonna jump off here. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Thank you for stopping by, showing love. Be sure to stick out for videos for the rest of the week. I'm still gonna do a podcast episode, so I'm actually gonna be doing that I think tomorrow or the day after, and it's gonna be up and ready to go I think tomorrow or the day after. So thank you for coming around, for sticking around. Just want to talk a little bit about the WandaVision show. For those of you who haven't seen it, watch it, pay attention, and I will catch y'all. I will definitely catch y'all in the next, I guess, live stream or in the Discord or wherever I see y'all in the comments. You already know I'm always in the comments, sporadically for the first hour, and then obviously eventually later on I jump on. But I will catch y'all, and I hope you have a good one. I hope you have a good week. Hope you have a good day. Hope you have great dinner, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out, y'all.